Mothers, what moments have made you want to punch a child? Story 1. My own kid is 1, so he hasn't really given me a proper chance to want to give him a smacking yet, but I have plenty of other children's stories. Note that not all of these occur after motherhood happened. 1. Years ago, when 3 of our cousins came to stay with us for a night while my mom and her sister went out. This almost never happened because my mom was the mean mom and my cousins didn't like coming over. Almost immediately, the older 2, then 13 and 16, went searching through the fridge looking for alcohol. I, then 15, managed to get some kind of order when the youngest cousin, then 10, thought it would be funny to take my little brother, then 4, into the basement, book it up the stairs, and shut the door while turning the light off. I came out of the kitchen and could hear my brother screaming and pounding on the door while my cousin held it shut and laughed. I didn't punch him, but I did slam him into the wall and tell him not to try that crap again. 2. DH and I were at one of those temporary Halloween stores with a friend and his oldest kid, then 4 or 5. Kid had picked up one of those ugly rubber nightmare babies and was walking around with it when a girl, probably 8 or 9, walked up and basically wrestled it out of his hands. As she went to walk away, I snatched it back from her and loudly said, "Don't take that from him." She looked at me like she wanted to hit me, and honestly, I would have smacked her back. 3. Different cousin. We were staying the weekend at my grandparents' with the entire cousin bunch. A group of us were in the back room talking and perusing my grandma's collection of romance novels when I, then 17, smelled something burning. I look over to see one of my cousins, 14 or 15, using a lighter to burn the edges of Grandma's antique lace curtains. She was shocked when I bee-slapped her and told her to stop being a disrespectful craphead. I mean, I guess you were old enough that this kind of counts, you know? I mean, I feel like a mother wanting to hit their kid is a whole different ball game, but, yeah, no, these seems like, some justified, angers, and, you handled things in a way that I think any teenager might handle them. Probably not me. I was very non-confrontational and shy, for the most part. Let's not get into that. Story 2. I know you're asking moms, but I'm a dad and remember this one story and had to share. My son was being picked on at the bus stop by some other kids, and despite my son being taller, he always tried to shy away from any kind of altercations. He always asked/told them to stop, and he would just move away from them. One day, the 2 bullies start picking on a little girl, and my son defiantly told them to stop. Alas, they didn't listen and punched my son. This is where I wanted to drop kick the kids. He immediately retaliated and kicked one in the groin and punched the other in the throat. Of course, right after that, the mom came running out of her house saying my son was a bully, which wasn't the case, and even more so that other kids all dimed her kids out. I don't condone violence typically, but we've told our kids to defend themselves appropriately, and this was a proud parent moment for us. Story 3. Not a mom, but a big sister. I broke my ankle recently and have to walk with crutches. My sister always throws whatever she's carrying on the ground in front of the steps to get inside, which is hard enough to go up the steps since I don't have good balance in the first place, so leaving her crap on the floor right in the middle of where I need to walk and not moving it when I ask. I couldn't care less and just pick it up and move it myself if I wasn't on crutches, especially when I'm home alone and I try walking and I just trip over a big butt bag she left in the middle of the hallway and have trouble getting back up, since there's nothing for me to really hold on to and crawling hurts. I don't like people helping me much anyway, but she's been extra crabby and unhelpful now that I actually need it, that with a few other things makes me want to smack her upside the head with my crutches as hard as I can. Really not getting the mom stories that I expected here. I mean, this just seems like normal sibling anger and stuff going on here. Where are the moms? The moms who are just losing it and want to just punt their kid across a field like the Hulk punted that military guy in that Hulk movie. You know, the one with Edward Norton Hulk. Remember? That was a good moment. What were we talking about? Story 4. When my son was 4, my husband and I took him on a short walk around a local lake. He was loving it and having a great time, but he kept running ahead of us. This wasn't an issue until we came off the trail into a sidewalk near the highway. I asked him to come back to us several times, and he kept running forward. A line of traffic was headed our way, so I jogged up and picked him up from behind. That little crap lost his mind, turned his head back to look at me directly in the eyes, and then threw an elbow right into my face. I have never before or since been that angry at a child. My husband ran up and grabbed him out of my arms and hustled him to the car while I stood there seething. I stood there for probably 10 minutes before I felt like it was safe for me to be around my kid again. My husband still likes to tell my now 11-year-old about how he single-handedly saved his life when Mom was about to throw him into oncoming traffic.
I'm pretty sure if I tried something like that as a kid, I might have gotten spanked. I was spanked a little as a kid. Not great. Don't condone it. But, my mom was trying. It was the 80s. But I think the other punishment, though, that my mom would have done is she would have stopped asking me what I wanted to eat and would have just served me plates of canned spinach or something and been like, ha ha ha, not kidding. Eat it.
Story 5. When my daughter went through a just kidding phase, we'd ask her what she wanted for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and every time we had finished cooking it and gave it to her, she would say, "Just kidding, I want this instead," and then proceed to throw a fit when we said we would not make her something else.
Honestly, I think every mom deserves at least one free splashing water in a kid's face moment. Like, kids are awful sometimes. I mean, they're supposed to be, kind of, I guess, but like, I think of some of the stuff I put my mom through and what my siblings did and all that, and yeah, a mom should get a freebie like that, maybe even like once a year.
Story 6. My daughter threw my cat down the stairs. I almost lost my crap on her. She had a hard time in timeout and is still grounded from playing with the cats. Story 7. Not a mother, not my child, but my cousin took my glasses off my face when he was 4 and proceeded to snap them in half. I was 16. I was broke at the time and couldn't get new ones. I cried because I value my sight more than anything and can barely see without them. Plus, they were my first pair and I had only had them for like 5 months after being blind for so long. Auntie told me it's my fault for letting him take them even though my hands were full and I was expecting it. I almost went back downstairs and volleyed both him and his 6-year-old sister who instigated it. Instead, I screamed at her and left the house to calm down and bawled my eyes out. I didn't get another pair of glasses until like a year later when my college teacher paid for them. I'm 19 now and that still enrages me when I think about it. Story 8. My little cousins. Everyone in my family except for their parents knows that they are little monsters who destroy and ruin anything they can get their hands on. It's sad when I have to take extra precautions to make sure they can't destroy any decorations at the party I'm hosting. I'm actually stressed about this. When you're 8 years old, you should know when not to touch and break things. It's just sad. Story 9. My sister was a total B for a few years. So much so, my mother threw a glass of water in her face one time. Not the glass, just the water. Not her finest parenting moment, but even my sister concedes that she deserved it. I was sadly away from college, and I missed it.
First off, what is a 3-year-old doing in preschool? Like, that feels like preschool, right? Do I not know what age kids do stuff? I do not. Also, though, I would almost kind of expect this from 3-year-olds. Like, it's not okay, and you have to correct them and stuff, They have to respect other people's, bodies and stuff like that. Absolutely, but I can't imagine getting, leave the room angry, furious, wanting to punch a child for that kind of stuff necessarily. I guess he did say he was just routinely a spoiled brat and obnoxious, so I guess it was probably building up, but if that was the reaction to, any kid doing that, then that might not be the age you want to teach.
Story 10. Since I'm not a mom, but am a proud aunt, I will share what my mother told me. When I was a toddler, I loved the word attractive. Don't know why, but would literally say it at the most random times in an odd accent. So I'm with my mom and 2 siblings in a store, and I'm in the buggy sitting. A lady who was shopping was on a tank top, and her bra was showing. I said, "Your bra, it's showing. Attractive." Lady thought it was funny. Mom laughed after she got over the embarrassment and profusely apologized for her daughter's weirdness. And my 2 older siblings also laughed and said it was awesome. Mom said it was funny until I did it in public one time. I'm sure she probably wanted to punch me at first, LOL. Story 11. Watching a kid stamp on his toddler brother's leg, then grind his heel, shoe on, into the kid's shin while saying, "I'm sorry I tripped, are you okay?" Because he didn't realize an adult was watching. No provocation, no build-up, just got his shoes on, walked past the toddler putting his shoes on, and went in for the torment while actively lying. Even then, I wanted to punch the dad more. Story 12. When this little bee at my daughter's school got a cut on her arm and rubbed her blood all over my daughter. Also wanted to punch the teacher when my daughter told me she told on her and the teacher asked if she was born to tattle. Story 13. I'm a mom, but feel like people just know better than to mess with my kid. However, I am also a preschool teacher. A 3-year-old boy pinched my nipple because he's a spoiled brat and routinely throws tantrums trying to attack me. I had to walk out of the room because all I saw was red and honestly just wanted to punch him so hard in the face.
Well, we have another poopatrator on our hands, and a poop crime. And it looks like we've got a juvenile offender. You hate to see it, and I also guess you hate to smell it, too. Ugh.
Story 14. Once when my son was a toddler, it was just a day where he was throwing a temper tantrum over every little thing. I seriously had the thought it was a good thing I didn't believe in child abuse. And again, when he was 13 and going through a rebellious phase, I asked him to take out the trash and he looked me dead-eyed and said no. Story 15. I was a young first-time mom. My milk dried up, but I didn't know. Baby kept crying. In the end, I went to my own mom and dropped the baby on the bed, saying, "Take this child before I do something I will regret." Walked out of the room, went to sleep, and slept for 14 hours straight. In the meantime, my mom had called the local maternity unit, arranged for formula milk to be provided, and kept the baby safe. Story 16. When working on potty training my youngest, she decided that anything she could sit on and go without getting wet was a toilet, so you can see the problem already. Caught her crapping in the furnace heating vent on the second floor, and not just any vent, the main vent that ran straight down to the basement, ending basically beside the furnace. The entire house smells exactly like you would imagine. Never have I been so angry in my life. I was nearly shaking when I handed my sweet demon to her mother and sent them shopping while I figured out how to take apart the air duct in the basement. Story 17. So my mom properly wanted to throw me off an 8-story building when I said these exact words. "Mother, I've decided to become one with the rocks in the backyard due to climate change." Reading this back, I realized that I'm a special kid. Story 18. This morning, my 4-year-old asked me if I had a baby in my belly. I said no. He then said, "Is it because you're not pretty enough?"
Please leave your story in the comments. I would love to make a video on them in the future. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe.